Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. Welcome to episode 115 of We the GamerCast. It's coming to you because of WeTheNerdy.com, and it's every Monday on iTunes, Google Play, and mother-loving YouTube. Thank you for rating us on iTunes and subscribing and everything else you do. I'm a little out of practice, guys. As you know, I took a week off, so a little rest I've got to kind of brush off here. But before we get too far into it, I want to give a quick high five and thank you to our amazing people over at patreon.com/makeusbetter. That's why we're on YouTube. That's why we do 2 extra episodes a month with recurring guests like Zach Erickson was the last episode. It's Nintendo Dad's November. Justin Masson coming up, and so it's all possible thanks to all of our patrons, especially our executive producers, our platinum executive producer, Corey Hicks, gold executive producer, Sheldon Benedict, and all of our gentlemen, yes, Bobby, our gentlemen executive producers, Nick Milicia from Next Level Games, James Johnson, Jesse Armstrong, Glauco Shaffer, Joey Hehir, David Ray, Mike Drummie. Mike Drummie gets a second Mike Drummie because I stumbled a little bit. Brendan Myers and Aaron Doherty. I hope I nailed it, Aaron. You got me all up in my head, man. I don't know what to think. I've got Lincoln in my lap. He's looking at me like, "What are you even doing? Who are you talking to?" Lincoln, I'm talking to the people on the internet. One day you will meet them. They've already given you a gift. These people on the internet. They're very nice to us. So thank you guys for everything. And if you're new, here's the deal. Every week I have Sweet Hangs with a stranger from the internet, and we talk about video games. If you want to be part of the show, just tweet at me at Sean Capri. Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. Guys, I don't want to beat around the bush. This is a tough week for my family, and I really appreciate your understanding in taking some time. Normally I record on Sunday mornings, and I was literally just about to sit down when I got the call from my dad last week, and I'm just going to take a quick moment to kind of tell you what was happening. So my grandma, 92 years old, just like the greatest lady. I think everybody can say that about their grandmother. She has, over the last couple of years, lost her sight, lost her hearing, lost her mind, it's kind of just, as you get old, these things happen. So, her and I actually had conversations a number of years ago before, when she could actually see me and when she could actually hear what I had to say to her. And she would tell me that she was ready. And that's actually, I keep that conversation in my mind. It gives me a lot of comfort, because she's been on her own for quite a while. My grandpa died. Her husband died back in 2000. So I feel like she's lived a whole nother lifetime since his passing. And for her to move on, I feel comfort in that this is what she wanted. She was ready. And so I actually am more sad for my dad, and my brother isn't taking it entirely well. And I just don't think that my brother had that conversation with her. So it's time to be there for family. It's time to just help however I can. So we actually got to say our goodbyes. We were out actually for dinner with my dad, and the whole family was there. Chelsea and Lincoln and my sister and her kids and her husband and my younger brother and his girlfriend. Everybody was out for dinner, and we were celebrating my dad's retirement actually. And Lincoln's trying to eat the microphone cord, so bear with me, guys. We were out for retirement dinner. And my dad got the call basically right then that she hadn't been eating for a couple of days, and that the end was near, that she was pretty much taking her last breath. So, I mean, call it whatever you want, cosmic, whatever, coincidence, serendipitous, but we were all at a restaurant that was across the street from where my grandma's home was. So we literally, we paid our check, we got in our cars, we drove across the street because it's too cold to walk apparently, and we just were there with her. We all got to give her a hug and hold her hand as she was taking her final breaths, and we sat with her, and we hung out as a family for a few hours. Actually, we were there. Chelsea and Lincoln got to meet her for the first time, and I guess the last time, and we just sat with her and we said our goodbyes. For a number of hours, we had a priest come in, and he gave her her last rites. And actually, that was probably the best part of the night, I guess, in a weird way, just because I feel like that gave a lot of people in the room that comfort, and we the tenor of the room, that the atmosphere changed, I guess you could say. We started just hanging out as a family and just kind of we're chatting. We had coffee and donuts and stuff. So it was nice. I don't know if there's a great way to really do that, but that was about as it was a good memory, and I know that it meant a lot for my dad to have us all there, and my mom was very close to her as well. So that's a long story to say that's why we took a week off. So I really appreciate you guys' understanding, and I also really, really appreciate, there's too many of you to really name names, but so many of you reached out with kind words, with condolences, and even checking up on me during the week, and I really, really appreciate it. You have no idea. That means the absolute world to me that you guys did that. And honestly, like, it just, yeah, it's very, very humbling, so very comforting, and gives me strength to continue to be there for my family. So that was great. So thank you guys so much. I'm excited while all of this is happening. Patreon changes are happening. I've got one more If We Ran Nintendo in me before I move on. And this is another kind of like, it's exciting, but sort of sad too, because like Bobby and I have been doing this for a long time. You know, this is my Bobby time. This is when Bobby, the geek guru, came on my show, 2 years ago? I don't even know how long it was now. And we became really good friends. And this was our one-on-one time. And, you know, we're moving to, I think, bigger and better. I don't know what to call it, but we're moving in an exciting direction, and I'm totally pumped to talk Xbox with Toby and Bobby on the new Gaming Guru show. That is awesome. But this, you know, changes. I like to just reflect on where we came from. Like, that all of this started because Bobby was on my show, and we just kind of took it from there. And If We Ran Nintendo is such a cool thing that we just wanted to do something together, and that's all of this is because of that. And so I guess I need to keep that in mind as we move on to the next thing, that I shouldn't be scared to do something new or scared to change anything, because if I didn't do anything new with If We Ran Nintendo for the first time, then none of this would happen. So who the heck knows what's going to happen? But it's definitely like, when some of these things change, I wasn't sure. I'm like, yeah, Joseph, go ahead. You can have If We Ran Nintendo. Now that it's kind of the transition is happening, I'm like, oh, this is, how am I feeling feelings all of a sudden? So that's happening. That's really it. You know what, guys? I'm excited. I'm going to be in Toronto this week. My grandma's funeral is on Friday. It's actually on Black Friday, so that's a whole other thing. Gonna have to do my shopping on Thursday, I guess, right, guys? That's awful. I can't believe I even said that. Check out, please, if everything goes well, I will be on Game Moose Podcast. I will be there live. I'll be in Toronto with Ryan, with Drew, and I can't freaking wait. I'm going to hang out with Brock this week, hopefully with Dapper, maybe Marissa. Who knows what's going to happen. Guys, I can't wait. Toronto's happening, but you're in for a really great conversation this week, and I'm so sorry that it had to wait the extra week, but the wait is worth it, because it's Matt Knight at Skinny Matt K. He does Nintendo memoirs, and honestly, this is just a really great nerdy chat. And in case many of you have probably seen Matt Knight, Skinny Matt, in the chat and in the Discord and everything else, popping up everywhere I am. He's there, and he's chatting. He's there first. Really, I'm following him around. And this is a great chat to get to know him a little bit better. He's just another genius that's on this show, so stay tuned for that. Here he is, Matt Knight. Some people just don't even, although, let me think this straight. The podcast app is just like dying in front of our eyeballs. You know, like, it's just, it's so brutal. So I think maybe people are looking for alternatives, and YouTube's just kind of sitting there waiting. Although, you can't, like, basically YouTube has the same problem as the Nintendo voice chat app, where I guess used to, where you needed to leave it open, and if you closed it, then everything was shut down. And that was basically the thing that, like, always kept me from really becoming like a common or a frequent watcher, I guess, of video podcasts. Yeah. Is mostly like, if I'm not doing anything, and I've actually found it that, like, if I'm sitting around just like eating food, then I'll throw it on TV, I guess. And like, if Chelsea's around, we'll sit and watch like the Kind of Funny Guys, or recently she's gotten into the What's Good Games girls. And so if there's like a video version of that, it seems like more inclusive to, I guess, throw it up on TV rather than just throw on a podcast and have it coming out the back of your phone. But yeah, man. So I love your Luigi hat, dude. That looks so sweet. Where'd you get that from?
Honestly, I was in Target one day, and it was just sitting on a shelf, not even the right spot. I'm like, I looked at it, I'm like, oh, it's a kid's hat.
Oh,
And
but it isn't.
I'm like, let me toss. No, it's not. It's an adult hat, or my head's smaller than I think it is. So
I don't think so. That's what I was noticing. I'm like, usually you see like Mario or Luigi, like really just video game stuff in general, and like you can just tell it was crapped out of like one of those just swag factories. That looks like a genuinely like good.
It's decent.
Nice
It's just
hat.
the color's a little lighter than I like, and I'll be honest, the reason I'm wearing the hat is I'm 3 months without a haircut, so I got the hockey hair going.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Dude, I haven't heard people
Yeah,
talk
I got
about hockey
mini
hair in
mullet going.
forever.
Oh, my pens got beat last night, so.
Are you from Pittsburgh?
I grew up about 30 miles from Pittsburgh,
Okay.
but I grew up in Ohio, so yeah.
So that's kind of like the closest. I guess is there
I can-
any hockey teams in Ohio? No.
Well, there's Columbus, but they came about, 10 years ago? The Blue Jackets?
I forgot about them.
And
Yeah.
I'll pull for them. I'll root for them. They're my number 2 team. They're in the Western Conference, but I can't jump ship on a team. I
Doesn't
like
that
the
seem
Pens when they
weird?
were terrible.
Do you think of Columbus as being Western, like, at all?
I don't know.
It's
Wait, no, they're in the Eastern. They did put them back in the Eastern Conference. Wow.
But like
right.
even like
'Cause they-
there's the Chicago thing and Detroit, and like they kind of go back and forth, and like it
Yeah,
makes me as a
look-
Canadian, as a dumb ignorant person, I'm like, I don't think
But
that
it's
that's
hockey,
where that
you're supposed to know
is.
everything.
I know, right? But as a kid, you think east west, you think like there's this line down the middle, and
Yeah.
like west is but you know I felt bad for them actually just because of all the travel. Like if you're in Chicago and you're playing like Anaheim, that's not good. That's no fun for anybody.
No, going off to San Jose or something like that. That's
Who knew that California would be like a powerhouse of hockey teams?
well, look at Vegas this year.
Oh, dude, I'm going to. Don't tell my dad. Actually, this will have aired by the time he is not listening. We're taking my dad to a Oilers and Golden Knights game for his retirement.
Yeah.
He's finally retiring this year. So I've been asking him when he's going to retire since I was like 6 years old. Like basically when I found out that like he's not at home because he's going off to work. And I can still remember, oddly enough, like asking him when is he going to stop working. And I remember him telling me back then when he's 55. And I remember that just being like a huge amount of time. Like 'cause he was probably around 40 at the time.
Yeah.
And he's going on 68. Like he's way past. I don't know if he really like locked in on that age or if he was just guessing at the time. But I'm like, oh, that's a long time. But he's been kind of putting it off for a couple years actually. My brother, I talked to him just the other day, and we're thinking about getting him an iPhone X as his retirement present.
Oh wow.
But I don't know. We have a lot of siblings, so we can all kind of like pitch for this, and it's hopefully.
Okay.
I don't even know how much is gonna like after a contract, how much it's gonna cost. I just kind of my mom threw it out there, so we were just kind of talking about it. If there's 4 of us,
Yeah.
surely this will be affordable. But I have no idea, to be honest with you. But he's like, no, I can't. I already got him his retirement gift like 3 years ago when he took him to Montreal for like F1 racing or something. So I'm like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about it. He's like, yeah, Dad used it up on his first retirement. So. So how about you, man? I love looking at everybody's Twitter because, you know, some people have very telling Twitter bios and some people have just nonsense like me. But I found yours very interesting. Why don't you tell me and everybody what it is that you do? Because I love, you know, we'll get to video games in a second. We talked about hockey, we sprinkled in a little bit of hat talk. But like, what do you do during the day, man? That you even have a moment to do Nintendo memoirs in between contracts.
Which that's a brand new thing I just kind of did off a whim. But anyhow, yeah, I'm a geologist.
Amazing.
I'm a project manager with this very small mom and pop consulting firm here. I live in Rochester, and even though I'm a project manager, I'm more of a staff geologist. Still, I'm out in the field quite a bit, doing stuff where it's in remediation, asbestos sampling.
Whoa. That is way too many syllables. What the hell is remediation?
Cleanup. When someone spills crap and they make a big mess in the environment, everything gets reported to the state and sometimes even the EPA. And there's steps that have to go through. They're kind of hired as the middleman to clean it up. We're not necessarily the one that's going in on the first spill emergency response. But once that's done and kind of taking the samples and, you know, trying to find the most cost-effective way for the client and what the state wants done and stuff like that.
Hang on a second. So just so you know, when we first started the call, I will cut that. That won't be on this. So now I get to like let everybody wonder what happened. I'm going to try and do that as much as possible. I forgot to do it with Alex Van Aken. I'm going to try and do something that leads people to wonder, what the hell were they talking about? But I've just recently come to know that breathing isn't the easiest thing. Like asthma is a thing for you. And I grew up with asthma, and I know I think that it only gets worse probably as you become an adult. But I think
get diagnosed. I didn't get diagnosed with it till I was probably 25.
Okay, so when did you start doing this work? Okay, this is kind of what I'm talking about here, Matt. What kind of materials are you inhaling and around? Like, what's affecting you? Do we need to find you? Do you need to come to Canada? We have lots of forests.
No, I found out I had issues way before.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
The forests are actually worse for me. So.
Oh, that's true. That's
chemical
true.
Smells, you need those chemicals that just burn everything. I'll be fine.
Right.
Shorten 5 years off my life. It's good to
it's
go.
that natural fur and pollen, just like that'll kill you in your shoes.
Yeah. So, but no, I mean,
what are you around?
Lately, well, the company I'm with now is really small, so it's a big change because long story short, at one point, because I lived in Atlanta for 10 years. Once I graduated school, worked for a small geotech company doing concrete testing. Went to the environmental company, a different company. It was a little bigger. Had like 700 employees all across the country. And there was a lot of work around gas stations and stuff like that, and in industrial facilities.
What kind of training do you have? Like, what was school like for you?
I have a bachelor's degree in geology.
That's amazing. Okay, so specifically in geology, so I know a lot of people who graduate with a bachelor's degree in just science, and I don't know if it's just they went. I mean, Alberta, like where I live, is very different because you can go get all the education in the world, and then you'll get paid to go work in the oil fields like for 3 times more than whatever you got trained for. So I know a lot of people who have some like general knowledge in the fields that they work in, but ultimately they were just kind of like plucked and thrown into tar pits to go pull stuff from the ground. But is that like, they all sort of talk about how useless their Bachelor of Science is. I imagine Bachelor of Geology is a little bit more specialized. Like, it's like, no? Oh, okay.
No, it'll help. I mean,
it's a specific science, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with people that have physics degrees, biology degrees. It's just kind of wherever you have, they kind of they kind of put you in, just kind of get your foot in the door. I mean, probably 10 years ago, you didn't need a degree to do what I do, to be honest, except for writing the reports and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
So is that just a four-year program?
Yeah, I just have a 4-year degree.
Yeah. So not just like let's be honest, because anybody who's gone through it and going through convocation and have your commencement and receiving the degree at the end is like, it's very memorable. At least it was for me. I think some people skip it and maybe they regret it. Did you go through that whole process, or were you like, screw that?
Oh, I spent way too much time getting a 4-year degree. I was on that 7-year plan.
Hi. Yep, same here. I did a transfer actually. I started at a kind of a smaller college, and you could transfer to the big university. Yep. So I kind of did even my high school was small. So I went to like a pretty small like junior high.
I'm from a very small town.
Oh, really? How
I graduated with there was 84 in my graduating class in high school.
That's amazing. Because I grew up. This is where Canada and U.S. I don't know if it's the same in the U.S., but I know that the big deal in Canada, at least when I was growing up, was class sizes were, like in elementary, were ballooning to 30, 35 kids per class, right? And so you're talking about your entire school being 80 people?
Well, no, my graduating class was 80. There was about 300 from the whole high school, 9 through 12.
Oh, still. Yeah, that's easily that's about a third of my high school, which was small. So did you find that was actually beneficial to you to grow up in a fairly kind of like tightly knit school and community?
It has its pluses and minuses.
Okay.
There's some good things, but there's a lot of things I didn't get exposure to. I get to college and people are like, I was in an orchestra and stuff, and I'm like, I was in band.
Right.
I could take Spanish. There was no other foreign language to take and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I was the same thing. Like my high school, and it was just across the street that it was like the giant couple thousand kids going to that school, and I think we were around somewhere around 800 in our school, and like they had everything. They had, they would break up even their industrial arts, like basically just like the manly stuff, and they would break it up into like in each individual courses of this is just car stuff. Like they had like car classes, and I'm like,
Yep.
we had chess club. Like I went to just like the nerdiest school, and actually I think our graduating class was so bad. Like my friends were such terrible students, and I love them to pieces, but a huge percentage of my friends just they flat out didn't have the credits to graduate. And so now it's funny because the school isn't, it used to be like this international, like this IB school, and now it's not. And I always blame my friends for that, which is whatever. But it's funny that you say that, because like, I don't know if what tangible benefits I would have had from having a school with like football per se. Like, I don't think I would have played football really, but like those are kind of extracurriculars that just, I guess, come with all of those extra people.
I mean, you didn't play hockey?
Didn't play hockey. I can't skate. Like, my wife is...
Are you Canadian?
I know. I don't think so. I think I was maybe brought in on a basket from somewhere. and Chelsea wants Lincoln to skate basically as soon as possible. Like her dad was a referee at a really high level in hockey, and actually I think had he not been married, or had he not feared divorce, he probably would have been refereeing, or at least being a linesman in the NHL. So that's kind of neat. So Chelsea learned to skate from her dad, who obviously was you don't even think about that when you watch hockey. You don't think about like the players or anybody. They're just so natural. I'm like, that is just, whatever they want to do, they have to do it. And in my brain on skates, it's like, hang on. Everybody give me a second.
I'm just trying not to fall. I don't know. I stopped by plowing into the wall and catching myself. So I get it. Mm-hmm. I didn't skate until I was in high school. Guys like, a bunch of people are like, we're going to go ice skating. You want to go?
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you bring a chair that I can like lean, like basically like the walker version of ice skating?
No, my ass was sore. So.
I'm not good at snowboarding. Snowboarding I've tried maybe twice, and yeah, my knee and wrists, actually. You basically just fall forward if the front edge of your snowboard catches. And just so everybody else knows, there's probably like Johnny Casino sitting in Texas right now thinking about like what shorts is he going to wear today. And I'm looking outside, I'm in the basement, and my window is filling up with like it's snowing so hard right now.
You guys got snow. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's wintertime for us, legit.
Yeah, we usually have snow by now. Usually Halloween kids are trick-or-treating in their winter coats, but it's still... looking out the window, it's raining in about 50.
So probably all the doubt about global warming is basically coming from Canada. We're like, I don't see it. It's not really happening. I'm kidding. We believe in it. It's a real thing. I'm like fairly certain of that. Matt, where do video games come in for you as growing up in a small town? Like, do you even get shipments from Nintendo? Does Nintendo know that you guys are there? Do they ship video games to small town Ohio?
Well, you drive 10 miles to,
come
where
on,
where Kmart was, and or back in the day it was Hills, so.
It was what? Sorry.
You drive either to Hills.
Hills
department store from back in the day. Anyone from the Pittsburgh area will remember it.
Nice, I love it. I love those random call outs. Yeah, dude.
No, it was one of those things. Growing up, I got a brother and sister that are 8 and 9 years older than me. Mm-hmm. So, ever since I can remember, we had an Atari 2600. So
yeah.
Officially, the first game I ever beat was Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Really?
So, yes, the one, the Atari.
That's
awesome. I was probably maybe 5-6 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, it was obviously on easy mode and all that stuff. But,
did you have, like, were you able to watch the movie at that age too? Because I feel like as kids growing up back then, maybe we were watching things that, like, maybe we shouldn't have. I remember being in, like, grade 1 and kids were talking, like, the movie at that time was, like, Terminator 2. And it was like, if you saw Terminator 2, your parents were awesome. And my parents did not let me watch Terminator 2, and it's kind of like looking back, I'm like,
I was 12 when that came out, and I didn't get to see that until I was a little older.
Yes.
I mean, it's rated R, wasn't it?
Dude, yes. And the thing was, I heard about it because kids talk, and you hear about, the robot man with the flesh on his robot skeleton getting lowered into the lava, and like lava was a big thing back then. Like when you're a kid growing up, because it kills you instantly. Like if Mega Man touches lava, like you die.
Oh,
like
of course.
So that was always a big thing. I feel like we've lost our fascination with lava. I remember the movie Volcano, one of my favorite movies ever. Because
I'm sorry.
But it's so bad. I'm just kidding. It's really not one of my favorite movies ever.
Oh, it's okay. I got guilty pleasure movies that are awful that I like. So
tell me.
Comes with, well, I wouldn't call them awful, but a lot of them are called classics. You can't go wrong with the Evil Dead trilogy.
Oh,
Bruce Campbell is probably the greatest actor alive. So I will totally give you that one. I'm just trying to think now. Now I'm on the spot.
No, that's all right. Well, I'll let you think, because I like Army of Darkness. I remember watching it for the first time, and it was, I don't know if it goes just hand in hand with nerds, because I watched it with a good friend of mine who I probably spent next to neighbor Matt. I spent the most time with this friend I talked about recently. His name was Chance, and he was one who showed me Army of Darkness, and it was just like we either were playing video games or we were watching Army of Darkness, and I'm just laughing my balls off at this movie. I'm like, I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be laughing. Like, is this like there's no laugh track, so I'm not being told laugh at this.
My exposure to that was I was probably 10 or so, and I was over at a friend's house. We were like, my family there was like a Christmas party or some gathering. Might have been 4th of July. We used to go to this one family friend's house, and I was friends with their neighbor next door. So I kind of hopped over there, and he's like, check this movie out, and watched Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
So, and I would just remember laughing my ass off the whole time.
Dude.
So
I watched it well after it was a thing. Like by the time I got around to it, I had played the heck out of like Duke Nukem and things like things that were like definitely inspired by the quippy one-liners, Bruce Campbell, and like it was neat for me to kind of go back and go, oh, that's where all of this actually comes from. And it was almost like watching, like for me, that's about as close to like the best video game movie ever, because it was sort of backwards. Like they made the movie good and they made it first, and then video games sort of paid homage to it a little bit later. And I don't know if is that even a thing? Did I just make that up? Or like to me, the two are very connected.
I think they are, but it just depends on when you grew up. I think it was one of those things that they probably were, if they went hand in hand, but it just kind of worked out that way.
Right. Yeah, I wonder. So what other guilty pleasure? Because I'll give you another one. I don't know if you know this about me, Matt. I was joking about Volcano, and like I think that was like 1998, and there was just a ton of these disaster movies that had a whole new flair to them. Armageddon is legitimate, like one of my all-time favorite movies ever made, and I have no shame saying that. I did a show called Nerdflix and Chill for about a year, and that was always I always wanted to come back to Armageddon. Are you kidding me? Space and nukes and Bruce Willis and Steve Buscemi and Owen Wilson and that guy from Prison Break and Michael Clark Duncan, and they got two amazing shuttles, and holy crap, dude.
See, I didn't like it, but it might have been because I saw it the first time it was released when it was called Deep Impact. So.
What, like a week before?
It might have been a year.
Deep Impact is so bad.
Oh yeah, I used to work in a video store, so we used to pull those
the
cheesy movies. Yeah, when I worked at this little video store 2 blocks from my house when I was 16. The summer I was 16, I started working there up until I went to college.
Nice.
And, like one of my favorite movies that a lot of people don't know about, and I think it gets bad rep, is you ever see The Frighteners?
No.
With
it's got that like white kind of logo, like a skull kind of thing. What's the logo?
It's like it's coming through the door.
Yeah.
Zemeckis did it.
That's it.
They marketed it as a horror film. It's a comedy.
No
it's
way.
It's hilarious. Harley Army's in it, and like the whole plot is like Michael J. Fox is like he can see ghosts, and to make money he can talk to them. He has his ghosts haunt things, and he gets his money. And then there's something like I don't want to give a spoiler, but something big starts going on.
How old is this movie?
Oh, it probably came out in 96-ish.
Just tell me,
plus or minus 2 years.
Just what happened?
I mean. Jake Busey's in it, so I mean, come on, it can't get any better than that.
That's amazing. Okay, so that's the level that we're talking about. I don't think.
Oh yeah.
So I'm Gary Busey's brother. Like I don't even think I even know.
Is it
Like
his
I'm.
son?
I don't even know, man. That's the
I
best part.
can't.
Is
I
like
don't know. That information, when I got kids, that information went out. I used to be so full of useless knowledge, but now it's gone.
Well, that's good that it was actually
Yeah.
like it wasn't stuck and just permanently taking up space because Lord knows that I could be absorbing new information, but nope. Too bad. I've got tons of lines of dialogue from Armageddon and Wayne's World and Austin Powers that are just like they're stuck there. Ace Ventura. Did I already say that?
No, but that's a classic.
Dude. And it comes up more than it should. Like Chelsea and I will catch each other kind of like quoting movies from the early 90s and are just like, oh yeah, that, and then we just keep going into the scene. And maybe I could remember where I put my keys one day. That would probably be better than withholding. If only I could like manage my brain's memory like I do with my PC and just empty that recycle bin. Just
clear that out.
Clear it out. Like what's that other movie? That Jim Carrey movie, Spotless Mind. What the heck was it called?
Oh, Eternal Sunshine.
Eternal Sunshine. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be weird.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want that.
Did you have games at the video store as well? I'm gathering this was just a mom and
Of course,
pop
it was the
shop.
height of the day. They had they had the NES games, the Super Nintendo, and the Genesis games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was, I worked at there was two mom and pop video stores in my hometown. I worked at the crappy one, so it wasn't as busy as the other one. The selection wasn't great, but that's how I managed to actually play and beat Super Mario RPG. So
you were able to play it because like you got access to it basically, and
yeah,
like
they had
unlimited.
it in the video store. Nobody ever rented it.
Really? Well, it's too big to rent.
It was very seldom.
How long did you get games for back then? Like you got like a 3-day rental, you got your 5-day rental.
Well, by the time I was playing, I mean, it was a 1-day rental. It was like $2.
Gosh.
Tax.
Oh yeah, of course.
And then when I worked at the video store, especially if I worked like back-to-back days, as long as it wasn't a new release, I could pretty much take whatever I wanted, bring it back the next day, and if no one checked it out, grab it again. So
yeah. So like, I'm fascinated by this. This is something that I always want. I don't know why I never did it. Like I ended up surveying. I was a cashier for a little while, but like this is a job that just doesn't exist for kids anymore. To like sort of just dive into the thing that all of us, even not just kids, but you grow up to be super passionate about movies. Like nobody's working as a 16-year-old making minimum wage working at Netflix. Like there's just no opportunity. Or like in a, what was it, a Redbox, right? Where you rent, yeah, like that's kind of the alternative now. Like all those kid jobs. Actually, you know what? I was just talking to Joey Ferris about this, and I have to sort of now. I think I'm realizing maybe what he was telling me. So I got to reach out to Joey. I don't know if you're listening, Joey, but yeah, man,
look around. There's a family video probably 20 miles from my house that's still in operation. So
why do you think that is? Like, how is that even possible?
I have no idea.
maybe they don't realize that they're not making money.
Maybe there's old people like us that still like to go, hey, let's go rent something.
So how did you get that job? Did you like know the family or something like that? Like, did you like just like you wanted to work? Like, how does that come about for you?
It was one of those things at the video store. The owner worked there all the time and stuff, and I was always in there. And I was in there one day. He goes, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 16. He goes, you want a job?
That's it?
Yeah, I'm actually.
That's small town. That's small town America, man.
I was getting ready to like to pump out, applications too. Like I was going to places collecting them. This was before you could just go online. You actually had to show up in person, request an application, all that stuff. But
God, we're old, aren't we?
Yeah.
Back in my day, you applied with a piece of paper and a feather pen.
Don't worry, Sean. I think I might have you by 5 years anyways.
Nah, maybe. I'm not. I'm actually sure. I'm bad with age. That's why I was bad as a server. I couldn't tell who I should ID or not. 16 or 32, I can't tell the difference. It's awful.
Yeah.
For drinks. For drinks. Everybody, just for serving drinks. Just stop it. I could tell for that. Because I checked for ID.
Yes.
This is off the rails. So you were working at the video store. Hey, want to talk about the section behind the swinging doors? How does that work for a 16-year-old?
We didn't have that.
Okay. I love that you know what I mean.
Many people came and asked if we had them. We didn't have them. I had to send them to the other videos.
That's amazing. Because like we didn't like go to a ton of videos. So we had two basically. There was one very close to the house, and then there was Blockbuster that came later, which just sort of like did the Walmart effect of ruining everybody's small business. Yep. We had two, and they both had the swinging, like the saloon doors, and you're like, what's back there? Oh, it smells weird back there. I probably don't want to. I don't want to go back. I love that how universal that is. It's as universal as when your Nintendo game doesn't work, you blow on the cartridge. Like nobody, there was no game facts or anything back then. You just did it, and the fact that
even though it didn't actually do anything, we found out after the fact. So
it
felt
worked.
Like it just ruined the cartridges.
Totally placebo effect, wasn't it?
What
So
were your pin connections?
totally. Well, no. Now we know if we did have the internet, you learn the Q-tip and alcohol or whatever that whole business, right? It is alcohol.
Yeah, I diluted mine, but yeah, you just take the Q-tip and get all that black crap, and you realize it's the brass from the connectors coming off, now 20, 30 years later. But.
Yeah, now that we can't go back and actually fix it the right way. Thanks, no internet. God, we're so primitive back then.
Never mind the fact the back of it said do not put alcohol on it and stuff, but hey.
Nintendo just didn't want us to have nice things. They just wanted us to buy more. It was planned obsolescence, and they had the solution on the back to keep this thing, to maintain your property. They said not to do it. That's hilarious that they put that right on the back. You know what's weird is that that just recently, I think it's become fairly common knowledge that these things have batteries in them. But like as kids, you don't think of that, and you don't think that like the save games were ever going to be an issue. You're just like grateful that this technology existed. Wait, what flashed?
When you put your cartridge in, it wouldn't work, and the screen would flash, and the power would light, before you blow in it, and then if you didn't catch it and it flashed too many times, you lost your battery. So.
I did not know what that meant, because I've definitely seen that. I didn't realize that's
what
it was trying to tell me. If you had a battery and it starts doing that, you're like, oh no, and you got to hold in the reset, hit the power button. Yeah. I didn't know that. Holy cow.
The first time I was so close to beating the original Zelda, I lost it because of that. I mean, I was getting ready to go into the last dungeon, and it flashed on me twice. I'm like, oh crap.
And how did you come to know that back then? That seems like such an internet knowledge piece. Like, how did you?
I learned from when I learned about the NES. At the time, my sister's boyfriend from high school, who she ended up marrying eventually. First time I saw it, he came over to the house, and there was we had one TV in the living room, and then there was the other TV in the back room, which was just my brother and my bedroom. Yeah. And he had it hooked up there, and he's playing Castlevania, and that was my first experience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but like just that, and then he started playing Zelda. He's like, "Why don't you try?" And I went to go turn it off. He's like, "No, you got to hold and reset." And
okay.
This was probably 87.
Yeah, man.
Or so. I was probably about 7 years old because in my house we didn't have the NES. Like I said before, we had the Atari and we had a Commodore 64 back then. So played a lot of games on that.
What were you playing on Commodore 64?
The original Mario Brothers,
which
is when I became a fan of Luigi, because even when I play by myself, green's my favorite color, and I think that's why I just picked it.
You look like you might look like the actual Luigi, like
when you're tall and skinny.
That's pretty much it. And when you, I imagine you jump around with the wiggling legs and everything, like you kind of float up there.
Of course. Yeah, and I was like, Yahoo!
Wow. Well, I don't know if that's closer.
That's Waluigi.
No, it was. What about the movie? Let's talk about that for a second. What did you think when you learned that Luigi's last name was Mario?
I was like, what is this? That was what? When did that come out? 90?
Maybe.
I don't even know. I was like, what is this?
Right around the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies and Street
phenomenal.
Fighter. Teenage Mutant Ninja, you're right.
Only when they turned out good. The first two movies are great. The first one's phenomenal. Second one's good.
And as an adult, the first one holds up better, actually. But as a kid, I remember thinking that the Secret of the Ooze was way, way better. But it was
it's because of the ending with Vanilla Ice.
Exactly.
The whole movie.
And Super Shredder, like I think that was a little bit more climactic than the garbage truck, which actually served as sort of a warning for us kids to say like don't play around garbage trucks because you'll end up like Shredder. But I remember thinking like that may have been the first time that I spotted like quote unquote movie magic of I looked at that and thought he's not in there. Like the illusion was ruined for me, whereas before I would have believed every frame of every movie that I would have seen. But I remember coming home. How does my brain work like this, Matt? Like why can't I remember where I put my car keys? I remember coming home in my dad's Volkswagen Rabbit 1977 with green leather. I don't even know if it was real leather, to be honest with you.
Probably wasn't back then.
I remember telling him, Dad, Shredder's not dead because that was just his helmet. And like that was me saying like that's how they would have shot the movie. But little did I know, he really wasn't dead. he was gonna come punch what's his face?
I know.
Tanaka or whatever the guy, his right hand man. He was gonna punch him right in the face.
Well, I remember that was going to happen. I kind of figured out after playing video games, because you're sitting there like, you need to get to the final boss. There's always another phase.
Yeah, man, you got to beat him 3 times. You just put him in the garbage. Like, that's phase 1. Come on, man. And like they attack him one at a time, Matt.
Come on.
This drives me crazy to this day. You're the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, just hit him in the kneecap from the back. Come on, Donnie. What are you doing? Did you play the game? Everybody played the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game on NES.
I hated it because it was so hard, but I kept running it. I kept running it. It was so hard, but at least once every other week I'd end up running it. So.
It was the music. It was just like it just
that whole Konami Ultra thing. You know, it was just those drum lines they always put were ridiculous. So
I'm surprised that they didn't put that on the NES Classic, right? Like this seems like that was. I mean, maybe it's licensed. Well, I'm not surprised. What's your retro collection like?
Non-existent. It's all on virtual. I still have my NES when I went to college. I like left it at home and I came back for Christmas and my parents like, we gave it to your sister, and she's like, I sold it, and I'm like, ugh. And so I had like the original Final Fantasy with the box. And the map and everything, and like I had the power pad. She sold everything for like $50, and then actually just this past weekend, my parents came. She's like, they called me like, yeah, we found your NES. They found my old NES with the 4-score and controllers, but 90% of the games are gone.
Oh my gosh!
I like because the video store I worked at went out of business, and they just said grab whatever you want, and I grabbed what was left of Slim Pickens because that was when I was away at college, and when I came back, but. Like no Final Fantasy. I think it's Baseball Stars is still in there, so that's a plus. But my Super Nintendo, which isn't working right, I still have that sitting downstairs. It's not hooked up, but I still have I have the classics: Final Fantasy 3, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana. I'm probably the only person in the world who has never owned Super Mario World that owns a SNES, but my buddy had it, and
you should check with Guinness.
I don't know how many times. Yeah, it's possible. So
how come? How does that even happen? Like you must have got your SNES. Was it secondhand or like what? How did you?
No, I got a first hand, but it had already been out for a year. I remember getting it for like my 12th or 13th birthday.
Yeah.
And it what came with what? I don't remember. I didn't get it with it, but I don't even think I got a game when I originally got it because I went and rented something the first night, and I eventually got. I don't even remember the order. Jeez. I think probably Tecmo Super Bowl is the first game I got.
Nice. Yeah, man. And it's like, okay, so you're working at this time. So like, you're not like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. You're not 5-year-old.
When the Super Nintendo came out, I wasn't working. I was 13. I mean, I was mowing lawns, but.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty good too.
Yeah, we're doing time jumps here. So.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
So.
No, I'm just in case everyone's getting confused. Yeah.
Me. Hi. Because maybe I should be making more notes. I just told you, Matt, my brain is half filled with Ace Ventura quotes. Like, did I ever tell you? I think I told Alex this just after. I hope that I was after the call, so I hope I'm not repeating myself. But the reason I even know how to do podcasting and work with audio at all is because back in the day, we used to hook up our VCR to the PC and record the audio. Right, because there's no video capture cards back there or anything.
Yeah, I think it is in there. Yeah.
So we would put the audio out to like a Y cable or like a Y adapter, so you can get the red and white into the single line in, and we would record audio and then chop it up so that when Windows started up, we would have Wayne's World and Ace Ventura sound effects that like did this because you could go in and replace like every single one instead of the chime or whenever there was an error, they would be Ace Ventura and like.
Yep.
Good for my parents because like if Lincoln were to ever do that, I would be so annoyed. Like every time I do something, like when the Windows does a ding, like if that was Ace Ventura doing a whole like these weren't even just like quick sound
it wasn't like the alrighty then. It was the whole.
I mean that was one of them, but yeah, we would do it. There's the thing. There's like a good portion of that scene. So, but we would work with like Wave Studio and chop it up and Windows Sound Recorder and things like that, and that's how we just learned how to do stuff. Like you weren't trying to really do anything. It was just
you were just screwing around,
just messing around.
Even back when we had cassette tapes and you'd kind of have your radio show you'd record, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your radio show, Matt? Because
I
we
don't know,
did
get
Letterman.
together with friends and we would just, who knows, probably half time we're probably just cussing the cuss because we were like 9 years old.
Yeah, because it's hilarious.
It's so cool how I said the F word. Oh.
Giving the middle finger like to the side. Like, I remember when I learned what the middle finger was. I remember thinking that was so stupid. Like, because a kid at school got suspended for giving a teacher the middle finger. I'm like, what the heck? The middle finger? Like, what the heck?
It's just point.
I know. It like you're watching Lincoln actually just kind of like discover like textures and like what happens when you grab something or when you push it over. Like, you forget the things that you've learned and that you've come to realize are like things about or in this world, and it's funny to look back. That's why I love the show, because it forces us to kind of go back a little bit and go, oh yeah, I remember picturing the Terminator in my mind before I actually saw it. Like,
yeah,
things like that. So you said when you worked at the video store, pretty much NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, like that was kind of like 64. You were off to something else.
I was. They had a few, but I never owned a 64.
Mm-hmm. How come?
So that's the one home console I never had. Just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I had so much access to it through friends and stuff that I just never. I wanted one, but I never really. And then by then, you figure I started college in fall of '98. My roommate had one in college, so we had a PlayStation, Super Nintendo.
There it is.
N64 in college, and then the next system I ended up buying was a PS2. After I went from Super Nintendo to PS2.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, for what I owned, and then
the greatest
got a
DVD
GameCube
player.
after that. Yes, that's why I bought it. I wanted to get a DVD player, and for like back then, a DVD player for $200 or whatever. For $50 more, you can get a PS2. It's like, let's do it. So.
Honestly, that was a huge reason I got a PS3. Was I was working at the Canadian Best Buy back then, and Blu-ray players were selling for $1,200, and it was like Blu-ray versus HD. DVD.
Wait, that's only like $50 American.
Well,
right?
back then it was actually a little closer, but you're right. Usually we can just like shit all over the Canadian dollar, but back then it was a little. There was a time period where, like, even when Chelsea and I were first dating, we would go down to like New York Comic Con or I think even San Diego Comic Con, and we could go to a factory outlet store, which pretty much don't exist here, and we would bring like literally like an empty luggage case and just buy stuff and bring it back. And now, like, even if you buy something at like 40% off, like, it doesn't really work out for us because our dollar has just been so crappy lately.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like $1,200
funny,
Blu-ray players.
So you'd come here to buy that, and my wife was telling me she I'm in Western New York, right on Lake Ontario, and my wife grew up here, and she used to talk about they'd always go up to Toronto, which is an hour and a half, and they'd just buy CDs because they were so dirt cheap.
CDs, yes.
And just like come back pretty much with a suitcase of CDs.
With all that French, you got the labels with all the French on the back of it. That's kind of strange, isn't it? Like, especially I feel like it's weird because like French is like an official language. It's official, like we're officially bilingual. But I feel like in the States, more of a percentage of people actually speak Spanish than the percentage of people who speak French here. I'm not sure. Maybe that's a little bit more localized.
I guess I can barely speak English.
True enough.
I took 3 years of Spanish in high school. And
gone.
I can speak dos cervezas por favor. And
yeah, there it is.
Donde está el baño, or is it even la baña? That's yeah.
You can just make a face and people will know that you need to go, rate a podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
So what did you like? You're taking kind of a break, kind of purposefully in between those generations, or was it just timing? Just
time, finances, and I was really the first person in my family to go away to college. My brother went to a branch of one of the bigger colleges. He never finished.
Yeah,
he was
no
working
pressure.
40 hours, going to school for full time. It didn't finish. My sister went to a small business school, got her 2-year degree, but I was the first one to go. I mean, where I went to school was 60 miles away, so it was an hour and a half drive. But I left. Didn't come home every weekend like a lot of people, but and then college had access to all that. Then I moved. I remember the 2001 school year when I moved out of the dorms. I actually moved out in between semesters. is when I was working for the geology department in the summer, doing stuff, getting set up there, getting a mineral museum. Long story short, going through the specimens for that, and then I was working as a dishwasher at an Applebee's, and I just saved up like 2 or 3 paychecks, like took portions out till I bought my PS2, and then eventually, if you remember, after the GameCube, I think it was out for a year, but it was when they were doing you got the game and they gave you like another demo disc, and I remember getting Wind Waker with that, and I got that after my PS2 that Christmas. It was like a Black Friday deal or something. I paid like maybe $80, and I got like the one game in the console, and I bought like one other controller. Got that nice big bright orange controller.
Oh, nice one.
So
there you are with your DualShock and your GameCube controller. What do you think? Like, I remember looking at that controller, and I still look at it. I'm just like, what the heck? Like, what do I don't even know where X is. I don't know how I feel about like this. I feel like if left to its own devices, the controller, the trigger is gonna actually wrap itself around my finger. Like, it was just a little too curved. I don't know, man. Like, what were you thinking back then? Like,
I don't know. It was comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like the old joysticks. It's
yeah, that was one of those ones. It's like they
controller.
forgot to put a little like nub on the C stick. Like, it was just like this.
But I mean, any controller, once you play with it enough, you'll have it. It doesn't matter.
I mean, suppose.
Anytime someone says, I like this one better than that, it's because they've been playing with a certain style longer. So my kid always plays the Switch with the Joy-Cons on the grip. And I'm like, play with the Pro Controller. It feels better, but maybe because he has smaller hands. I don't know.
That's true. So how is that going with kids and video games and introducing things to them? Like, Nintendo's a safe bet.
Yeah. That's why it's the only. We don't have a PlayStation or a Xbox in the house.
Yeah, you don't want them murdering prostitutes.
And I don't know if you guys know. I'll put out there. My kid's on the spectrum. He's has high function autism. So I think have to be a little more cautious because he focuses on things a little too much, which I kind of do too. I might feed him a little too much. Lindsay kind of yells at me at that for times, but like he knows we're getting Mario Odyssey. Like by the way, did you ever get your Mario Odyssey yet?
I did. I think I've got 16 moons. I'm happy to say. I'm moving on from the Sand Kingdom. So I'm very excited.
Ours is going under the tree. So
dude, that's awesome.
I'm sitting there and everyone's like, and I'm like, that's going under the tree, and I don't want to say it too loud, he's downstairs. My SNES Classic is doing the same thing. So
dude, like I'm so excited for Preston for that, and also for you. That's really hard. Like, what a dual life parents have to live.
When I go to the jobs, I'm working 40 plus hours a week.
Yeah.
By the time I get home, if I'm playing anything, it's at night. Plus, I still have to finish Mario. My backlog's terrible. I still got to finish Mario Rabbids. With my NES Classic, Gamer Confession, I've never beat the original Metroid. I need to do that. That's on my list to do. Stardew Valley's sucking up my life right now.
Oh, yeah,
when I play something.
Isn't that the best thing about 2017?
I didn't think I would like that game.
Stardew Valley?
And it just, I don't know,
well, you can go up there cleaning up messes. They've got all the minerals for you to, you got rocks you can geek out about.
I'm on my third. Yeah, I'm on my third attempt. No, that's what SteamWorld Dig 2 was for.
Oh, that's true. That's a little closer.
No, but I don't know. I started playing it, and I'm like, "What is this? This is terrible." And everyone was like, "You need to." I went and found those. Everyone suggested, find those short, what to do to start videos. Those little ones, things to do as a noob or starting out.
Yeah,
I found those and started over because I made some very poor decisions. Like I had the Bat Cave. I'm like, Bat Cave, yeah, Batman. No, it's terrible. You don't get any fruit that's worthwhile. Stuff like that. So I was getting really far and did a lot, and there was an issue where my scythe, I put all my stuff in a chest in the mine before I go in just to free up space, and my scythe disappeared.
Oh yeah, because it can get stolen.
No, it was in the chest.
But can it get can't people can't?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that that things can get stolen unless you have locked up in your house.
But not your scythe. I didn't think your tools could.
I don't know.
And
I've only played maybe 10 or 12 hours on my laptop, and I made all those wrong mistakes. So I want to.
So I know if you pass out or run out of energy, your stuff can get stolen. But from what I read, because I was looking things up, it's all the older versions, the PC version. Like if you lose a tool, what's his name? The mayor gives it to you back.
Right.
Nope, gone. Just 20 some hours into it, I had all this perfectly set up, and now I'm on round number 3 starting over.
Oh, that's hilarious. So that's it's almost like Binding of Isaac in a way, where not really, like but it's on your own doing of like, I'm starting over. I've got nothing, and we'll see how this one goes, I guess.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. And I love, 2017 has just been pretty unreal. And usually, as we're getting to that time, usually I kind of go, what are you still looking forward to? There's not really a whole lot. So I'm going to actually go a little bit more retrospective, Matt, as we close things.
I want to play Rocket League. I've never played it.
Oh, dude.
It's coming out, next week?
Yeah, the 14th.
Was it 14th?
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So actually, by the time this goes up, it'll be in 2 days. We can be...
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how the math works. I get a little... And daylight savings throws me off completely.
I got to put a calendar in front of me.
Yeah, exactly.
My 2-year-old got up at 4 o'clock this morning, so 4 o'clock, yeah. It's...
Rocket League is especially, on the Switch, and you just... If you can sneak a couple hands off to the side while you're doing your thing, Rocket League it's going to take the Switch by storm. Like it's so perfect. I can't wait for you to get your hands on. I will be buying it again. I will have it on all 3 platforms. Matt, I need to ask you, do you think, and maybe you don't even have an answer, but what are your reflections on 2017? Is this the best year ever in gaming? Like you played you played Indiana Jones on Atari. Is this the best game of year of gaming ever? It's
different years are different or best for different reasons. This one's really cool because with the kids and kind of getting them a little into it, it's really cool that compared to like when I got my PS2 and back in living in a house in college when playing with roommates, they all had PS2s and we're all yelling at each other as we played SOCOM 2 against each other and stuff like that.
That's a good call.
It's all for different reasons. At the same time as that, they'd come over and we'd sit and drink and play Mario Party, drinking Mario Party and Mario Kart Double Dash and Mario Golf, the Toadstool store. They need a Mario Golf on the Switch. They need something like that soon, by the way. But they're great for different reasons. I mean, to me, one game that because where I live, we got the National Museum of Play, and they actually have a video game Hall of Fame there.
Cool.
And I keep yelling because Mule never comes up as an option, which I think is the most underrated video game of all time.
I don't even know what you just said to me.
Mule, it's an acronym, M-U-L-E. It was like I had it on my NES. It was a port of an Atari, might have been a 5200. Someone out there is going to know the number and correct me on it. And it was like a 4-player game where you just start a colony and you have to farm for food and mine for minerals.
That's amazing.
And you have to work together, but you try to screw each other to get more money. And as things happen, it's supply and demand. The more items that are in the store, the cheaper it is, the less items in it. If you go buy it out, the more expensive it gets. Stuff spoils. I can't even explain it. You have to look it up. There's a computer port for it, but I've never checked it out, like a free version there was 10 years ago. So
I love it. Now everybody's got to go. I got to check that out. And I wonder
if that was the first I had, because I had the 4-score. I had it on my NES.
That is intense.
We just try to screw each other over. So
there's probably the attach rate on that is probably 1 in a trillion, like very, very low. Right. And that's amazing. Matt, thank you so much for taking time out of I don't know how you do it, honestly. You talked about your work schedule, you talked about your family and everything. I really appreciate you, first of all your support, and as well taking time to chat a little bit today over coffee. I don't know, what were you drinking today?
It's 11 o'clock here. I'm drinking Pepsi.
Oh, dude, you don't have to justify time for Pepsi, please. I mean,
just be lucky it wasn't a beer this early.
That would be fine too. There's 9 o'clock somewhere. Thank you so much. Where can people get in touch with you and tell you that they really enjoyed you today, Matt?
Well, there's all the Facebook groups and everything. I'm in all the the indie podcasts on Nintendo Gear. I can't even list them all. Yeah, pretty much everyone that's listening to this, watching this, is probably in one of those groups. On Twitter at SkinnyMattK, and then my plug for my little YouTube thing I started, and Nintendo Memoirs. It's long story short, I just kind of started it just to answer a question. Decided I'm going to try to make it a regular thing, and that's on Twitter as well at Nintendo at Nintendo Memoirs. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words here. There's 2 videos up, and hopefully there'll be another one coming up later today. So
yeah, man, well, keep it up. Honestly, I want to see more, and I'm so glad that we got to have you on today. I can't wait for people to check out more of your videos. Thank you so much.
Oh, I admit they're rough. It's just starting out. I'm just shooting it on my phone, one take stuff,
dude.
Let's see how it evolves.
Look at episode number 1 for this. This is brutal.
So it's one of those things I feel like I'm just going to do it, because if I don't, I never will.
There you
go. At least got to try it.
That's what it's all about, man. Awesome. Thanks so much.
No, thank you.
Lincoln, that's it. That's the whole show. We did it together. Lincoln and I are podcasting again. He's my co-host. He's just got to do a couple episodes, get a couple under his belt, as they say, before he really starts to rant on like his dad. Thank you, Lincoln, for your help, and thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Matt at Skinny Matt K, Nintendo Memoirs, for the amazing chat. It's so good to get to know you a little better, and thank you guys. By the way, did you notice that music at the start, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? There's an amazing album you need to check out on ocremix.org. You can actually go to shellshocked.ocremix.org. It's a whole bunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just remixes, rock remixes. It's awesome, so you guys should definitely check it out. I don't even know if that's new, but it's new to me, and that's going right on my yes, Lincoln. It's pretty exciting. He's jumping up for joy for those who are not watching the video. So amazing stuff. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the like button on the YouTube video. Even if you didn't watch the YouTube video, head over to youtube.com/WeTheNerdy. Give a thumbs up, leave a comment, all of that stuff. It definitely helps. Follow me on Twitter at Sean Capri. Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. Follow the show, We the GamerCast, and the website, We the Nerdy. Tons of good stuff happening over at We the Nerdy, guys. Like my preview for Skyforge will be up there, as well as I'm going to be reviewing It'll Do 2 for the Nintendo Switch. So I'm going to be playing that on the plane. That reminds me, I probably would have forgot to do that. So thank you for Google Docs for reminding me about that. So pumped about that. It'll Do 2. It's happening. Listen to me on the Xbox Drive, please. Guys, even if you don't even like Xbox, it's a good time. It's 30 minutes. Lincoln, just chill. We're almost done, dude. We're at the end. Can't you hear the music? It's actually like fading out and everything. Everybody knows we're almost done. And I guess I'm on the Gaming Gurus podcast, or subscribe to the Nintendo PlayStation feed, and it'll be there, but I'm sure you're already there. And if you haven't already, please consider joining us on patreon.com/makeusbetter. It's the whole reason we continue to grow. We hired on a new person. We brought him on as an equal partner. Thanks to all of your guys' support, we're going to have more shows under this banner, more content, and you guys just continue to push us. So thank you very much, patreon.com/makeusbetter. Thank you to our artists, Gary Gray and Adam Leonard, our video designer, Antonio Guillen, my baby Lincoln, who is crawling out of my lap. And remember, the show is powered by the Day Space Network of podcasts, where you can find other shows such as Character Crunch and Nintendo Talk and Topic Nintendo and the Warp Whistle podcast and Nintendo Nostalgia. And apparently every Nintendo show that's ever been made. Hopefully the PlayStation podcast makes its way over there. Otherwise, this is episode 115. It's now in your ears and your eyeballs. Thank you for listening and watching. I hope you'll be back next week, because I'll be here. Now it's time for Jason. Lincoln, hit X for Jason. Jason, say Jason. Say it.
Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Sean, where are you? Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Jason! 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 Jason!